This foundation is amazing, and if you're wondering, yes, I'm not wearing any makeup. I have left my face completely bare so I can do a demo of this amazing foundation for you. I was shopping at Priceline the other day, and for those of you who are not in Australia, that is just like a pharmacy where they have like makeup and all that kind of stuff, and they have really good prices. But yeah, I was shopping there the other day, and I had a gift card for the shopping centre, and Priceline obviously accepted the gift card. So I actually went and had a look, because I wanted to find like a new foundation that was like really full coverage, that was, you know, so I wanted to try something really different that I hadn't tried before. So whenever I go to Priceline, I normally kind of walk past the this particular brand, just because I find that a lot of their products are really expensive, and that's not to say that I am not interested in them. I just, if I go to Priceline, I'm kind of more like spend money on, you know, cheaper brands. And I thought I'm going to test it and like, you know, swatch it. And I was actually looking for a different foundation that I heard reviews about on YouTube. But of course they didn't have my colour. So I was like, okay. And then I noticed that this one was above that, and it said that it was full coverage. So I was like, okay, I'm going to test this out and swatch it on my hand. It was the perfect shade, and the foundation coverage looked really amazing for just being on my hand. Like, it was amazing. So anyway, the particular product I'm referring to is the, I'm going to try and say this without stuffing it up, and it's the Bourjouis Paris Youth Extension Foundation Flower Perfection. It looks like this. And it says, smooth, beautified complexion for 16 hours. Wild Azalea Youth Cell Protector with SPF 15. And I am in the shade 52, which is the equivalent to their shade Vanilla. Can you see that? So this is what it looks like. This is the packaging. And on the top it has like a little kind of like thing that pops off, and this particular top part is basically a sponge. So the actual pink lid here comes off, and it is the sponge, and they call this their smoothing sponge, which you use to kind of smooth it on. Now I don't want to use this for that, because I just find that this would make it really, I don't even want to try it. But anyway, that is how that comes, and then that's the lid, and then when you take that lid off, you get the pump. So this is the pump, okay, and I will obviously show you the product and all of that in a minute, but first I want to talk about what I think about the product. Now, pros, things that I like about this particular foundation, okay, the first thing that I like is that it is full coverage. Now for me, you know, from looking at my skin, you can obviously tell I don't have acne, I don't have things like that, but I obviously do have redness, and I do like to even out my skin tone when I'm wearing makeup, and especially for like nighttime or photo taking, I really like to have full coverage foundation, and if I'm going out clubbing, things like that. And it's great to have a full coverage foundation that lasts a long time as well. Now I have tested this foundation out, and it has lasted me all night. I went out with my boyfriend, I think the previous weekend, and I had worn this, the previous weekend being like a couple of days ago, and I had worn this that particular night, the same night that I picked it up, and it was just beautiful, and it didn't get like, you know, patchy or flaky, and it just lasted, which is always a pro. So I really like the coverage. Another thing that I really like is it suits my skin really well. Obviously, you know, my skin is, I'm sure, similar to someone else's skin out there. I have normal to kind of, I would say sometimes oily. My skin's not dry, it's definitely normal to oily, because it does get sweaty easily. It does get oily in certain areas, like my T-zone gets oily, and that's where my, you know, my foundation will often kind of flake away and get, you know, whatever. But it does work really well for my skin. So if you have dry skin, definitely a no-no, and I'll tell you why in a second, which is kind of one of my cons to this foundation. But it definitely is not suited to dry skin, because it is quite, it's a matte finish. Another thing I really like is the pump. I love pump foundations like this. It pumps out really well, and you have good control over how much product you're actually squeezing out of the bottle. The other thing is they're readily available. You know, I love the fact that I can just go to Priceline and buy this, rather than, you know, if I wanted to get like a MAC foundation, I have to go all the way into our Perth city, which is where they have a MAC counter, and, you know, other places. So it's readily available, which I really like as well, because Priceline is everywhere. But yeah, they would be my pros. choose for this particular product. Now cons, obviously the first thing is the price. It is $34. I mean, once you try this, you'll know that it's definitely worth it. So that would be that. Now the other thing is when I apply this on my face, normally when I apply foundation, I like to kind of, you know, swipe it there, and then up there, and then I like to blend it in. With this particular foundation, I found the other night, I just kind of started applying it the way I'd normally apply any foundation that I own. Once I kind of put some there and then went to the chin area, when I went to blend this part out, it started to kind of almost like not cake up, but it like dries. So that can also be a good thing because obviously, you know, your foundation doesn't feel like wet on your face. It like kind of dries and just finishes to a nice matte finish. I definitely underestimated the product when it said dries to a matte finish because I didn't realize how fast it would dry. But yes, I mean, that is what I would consider a con, but you know, it's, you know, whatever. The only other thing I would say is a con is you know, there's not many colors to choose from. So if you have really light skin or really dark skin or somewhere in between, you may have to either buy 2 colors if you're somewhere in between, or if you're really dark or really light, I'm not sure if they're gonna cater for you. I mean, most foundations always have really light ones, but I'm not too sure about the darkness. But you know, if you can pick up your shade, this is a must-have, and I'm definitely would be raving about this in my next, you know, monthly favorites video for sure. But yes, I'm going to go straight into it and show you more about the product up and close and personal. So I'm just going to take off the lid. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, so that is my face. This is up close and personal. Just kind of, it looks shiny, and my skin kind of, I guess, it's not really shiny, it's just the light. Like I have really bright lighting and it obviously accentuates any shininess on my face. So you're just going to take your product and you're just going to pump it out. So I'm going to pump it out on the back of my hand here. And I only take a little bit, like that much is all I need. And then today I'm going to use my Models Prefer foundation airbrush, which I love. It's amazing, and it does not want to focus, but that's okay. It looks like this, and it is a really amazing foundation brush. So I'm going to take that and stipple it in there, and I'm just going to kind of stipple it onto my face. And I did put on a primer, and I did that before I started filming, and I'm sorry, I should have actually mentioned that, but always prime, especially with this particular product. I would definitely prime straight away. I'm actually going to be taking this pink Models Prefer brush that I use for like everything, and actually I'm going to use this to blend it in as opposed to their brush that they give you. I'm just going to do one half of my face so you can see the difference. I like to pat and then kind of like blend it in, like, you know, whatever suits you. Okay, so if you can see that already, and I can definitely see in my mirror and in the camera, up close you can see how this side is still red, and this side with only that amount of product just has covered it and looks really nice. So that is obviously one half of my face done, this one, and this is not done. I've still got product left, so I'm going to use the rest of that to blend it to the rest of my face. And as you can see, like by using a stippling brush, you're kind of evenly distributing the product, and you honestly don't need that much with this because I swear, like, a little goes a really long way. Obviously if you had more imperfections you wanted to cover up, I would definitely use a little bit more if you need to, but it's always better to start with less than more because you can always add more but you can't really remove it. And you don't really want to waste product, especially if it's $34, which it is. And that is pretty much it for my review. I hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye!